Coming up, Elizabeth Warren comes to campus, and later, your phone might not be as private as you think.
The Hawkeye football regular season is finally done.
Which is sad because AJ Epinesa was just getting started.
More for you in sports.
There's a heat wave coming to Iowa City. More for you in weather.
All that and more coming up on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV. Don't go anywhere. We start right now. Good morning and thanks for tuning in. I'm Lauren Varell. 2020 Democratic hopeful Elizabeth Warren made an appearance on campus. The Massachusetts senator spoke to students last night at the IMU as she prepares to head into next year's election. The Daily Iowan spoke to Warren after the event to get an inside look at some of the details behind her college tuition policies. Warren laid out how her proposed ultra-millionaire tax would apply to supporting education and covering public school tuition.
And the idea behind it is your first $50 million is free and clear, but when you hit your 50 millionth and first dollar of accumulated wealth, you got to pitch in 2 cents. And 2 cents on every dollar above that until you hit $1 billion, and then it goes up to 3 cents. That 2-cent wealth tax produces enough money to do universal childcare, universal pre-K, raise the wages of every childcare worker and preschool teacher in America, put an historic $800 billion investment into K-12, and to provide tuition-free two-year college, technical school, 4-year college for anyone who wants an education, put $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities to help level the playing field, and cancel student loan debt for 43 million Americans.
Plenty of voters have criticized the ability to abuse Warren's proposed policies, and there has been debate over how privatized institution tuition will be handled. She dove deep into the layers of her policy to explain how Pell Grants will offer students the freedom of choice between private and public schooling.
Because there are so many pieces, I don't always talk about it. One of the things I'm doing in this proposal is expanding Pell Grants and expand them in both directions. That is, how big is a Pell Grant so that it covers a larger share of costs. And the second part is how high is your family income for eligibility for Pell. But those Pell Grants are not just limited to public schools, they're also available to students in private schools. This is about helping support students who are from modest income backgrounds get into public schools.
To hear more about what Warren had to say, head over to thedailyiowan.com. It's a cold morning, it's cold everywhere. Shavash, what can you tell us about the upcoming weather?
Thanks, Lauren. I'm happy to say it's not going to be as cold all week. We're going to be hit with a high of 47 today, staying cloudy through tonight with a low of 32. Now looking ahead, these high temps are going to stay with us through the weekend. Tomorrow is going to see a high of 46 with the sun coming out, only dropping down to 26 at night. Clouds and winds on Thursday won't break the trend of temperatures. We should still see a high of 46. Friday cools down a little, but stays above freezing at 37 degrees heading into the weekend. Finally, the sun makes a reappearance heading into the weekend on Saturday with a high of 44 and a low of 38. The week will wrap up with a high of 49 and a low of 31 for Sunday. Let's enjoy this relative heat while it's here. Back to you, Lauren.
Cyber Monday was bigger than ever this year following a record-breaking Black Friday. According to the Adobe Analytics, Americans spent over $11 billion between Thursday and Friday of last week. These numbers are 20% higher than last year's, making it the most money spent on Black Friday in history. Cyber Monday has continued the record-breaking trend, reaching $9.4 billion in sales. Nationwide weather conditions combined with shorter holiday shopping seasons are said to have contributed to these record-breaking numbers. A UI researcher study may have helped settle the argument over whether Android or iPhone is the superior cellular choice. Omar Chowdhury, professor in the Department of Computer Science, has been conducting a study on phone security alongside Purdue University. These studies have brought Chowdhury and his team to surprising result that Android device, specifically phones, can be bypassed in order to reveal private user data. The goal of the research was to help raise awareness of the loopholes in the safety of the personal information, with Chowdhury saying, quote, "As technology users, we tend to ignore important warnings from our apps on our phones. I want to continue drawing attention to this and helping people keep an eye out for when they use technology." Technology, well, we can all find Hawkeye Sports on our phones. So, Cade, John, tell us about that.
Well, Lauren, you may have heard his name, but have you seen his stat line? I took a deeper dive into AJ Epenesa's monster game against the Cornhuskers.
14.5 tackles, 9 of which were solo, 4.5 were for a loss, and 2 of them were for sacks. AJ Epinesa was showing Nebraska who the real king of the corn was on Black Friday.
AJ Epinesa has been automatic all year, but today he kicked it into another gear.
I was having some success, and I was just around the ball all the time, and that's just something I've been wanting to do all season long, and I had an opportunity to do that tonight.
Coming into the season, many people thought Epinesa was going to put up crazy stats and numbers since game 1, the day he got his first start. But the storyline soon began to change as teams were making it a point to shut him down. And even though he wasn't getting the numbers, AJ was still making huge impacts in the game. The 5-star recruit and future NFL draft pick has said all year the numbers don't matter. But after this monster game against Nebraska, the D-end opened up a bit about his frustration.
No, I wouldn't say, well, I mean, I guess. I mean, numbers-wise, yeah, but I think in reality, numbers, they don't really matter when it comes to, like, the kind of attention I was receiving. And it's just like I said earlier, it's about want to and getting to the ball, and just if you really want to make plays, then it's hard to keep you away from the ball whenever you're really trying to get to the ball.
There's a chance that this bowl game could be the last time we see AJ in a Hawkeye uniform. The junior defensive end is a huge prospect in the NFL draft, and just like every football player, the NFL, it's the dream.
Wow, he looks good in black and gold, but with talent like that, I won't be surprised to see him at the next level.
And I would maybe wouldn't mind to see him in a Redskins uniform.
AJ Epinesa and TikTok star / governor of Nebraska / America's favorite kicker Keith Duncan led the Hawkeyes to a solid 9-3 record, but it didn't come without its ups and downs.
That's right, Cade. They started out strong and ended after a middle of the season with some hiccups. They were able to bounce back.
In the beginning of the season, the Hawkeyes were posting dominant wins over Miami of Ohio and Rutgers.
And we can't forget about that exciting 18-17 win over Iowa State.
But they dropped off a little bit in the middle of the season with back-to-back losses, but both were by a thin margin.
But the real heartbreaker of this season was the loss to Wisconsin of only 2 points.
That failed 2-point conversion is still haunting.
But the Hawkeyes were able to close out strong, not only defeating then undefeated Minnesota at Kinnick, but also Illinois, and then the Cornhuskers to take the Heroes Trophy for the 5th year in a row.
Iowa football is likely to play in the Holiday Bowl, which is in San Diego, and that would be on December 27th.
And as always, Hawkeye fans travel well, especially to warm places.
Speaking of Hawkeye fans traveling well, there was a large crowd in Vegas last week to watch the men's basketball team in the Las Vegas Invitational.
The Hawkeye faithful were able to watch the team go all the way to the championship, including an upset win over number 12 Texas Tech.
But they lost in a hard-fought championship game to San Diego State University.
Despite that, the Hawks are having a solid start to the season, sitting at 5-2, with their only loss being to DePaul.
And a player to look out for is Luka Garza, who has a whopping 137 points already this season.
To put that into perspective, the next closest is CJ Frederick with 78.
Luka's been a beast. Would you just look at him go, and I'm sure it's not going to slow down.
An absolute tank. I don't know if you saw the elbow he took against San Diego State.
Garza and the boys are heading to New York to play Syracuse tonight at 6 p.m.
Luka Garza and Keith Duncan are the stars of the Hawkeye sports world so far this year.
Kind of like you and I are the stars of DITV.
You got that right, Cade. And don't forget to vote for Keith for the Lou Groza Award,
which you can do by simply going to www.lougrozaaward.com.
Check back tomorrow for an update on Jordan Bohannon and if he's going to be able to play the rest of the season.
Lauren, back to you.
That's all we have for you on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere. DITV ends now.